Hello, bear with me, Facebook peeps. I'm setting up Instagram now. This is the first time that I'm gonna do my Instagram live, both on Facebook and Instagram, so the name's probably gonna have to change to something other than Instagram Live. But yeah, let's set this up. Let's see. We've got this. I wish Instagram had filters too. I mean, Facebook had filters too. I'm gonna be looking better on the Instagram Live. Okay, now going live with Instagram as well. Hello, Instagram. Hello, Facebook. This is so weird that I'm gonna be doing both, but I've had problems saving my Instagram lives for later. I know you can click save afterwards, but it didn't work last time, and I'm thinking it's because my phone has not a lot of storage capacity in these videos. Since they're usually about 30 minutes long, they take a lot of space. So I'm thinking that's why it's not saving them. So I figured I might as well then stream on Facebook as well, and that way we can save it. You're gonna see that there's someone here moving around quite crazily. That's my dog. We also changed our setup a bit. Instead of shooting from my studio home office, I'm doing it in the living room this time. Change things up a bit. All right, so let's jump into our task. We're starting officially now. Hello, my name is Sarah from Sarah Bando Web Studio. And I hold these lives every 2 weeks to talk to you about different things regarding design, web design, branding. Wendy, you're gonna have to stay calm, baby. Regarding branding design, website design, and design in general, WordPress, and any of the other topics that I deal with for my work. Like I said, I do these lives every 2 weeks. It's a different topic every week. If you have any suggestions, you can just send me a private message and I'll take that in count for the coming ones. I also hold just like question sessions sometimes. So there's one coming up soon. I'll let you know so that you can submit any questions you have regarding any of those topics and we'll talk about them here. But today's topic is, there it is. It's branding elements. Okay. And so I even brought props for today's. This is a brand board. And we're gonna be referencing back to it when I'm talking about different elements. Not all the elements that I'm gonna be talking about are on the board, but some of them are, so it might be just easier to reference them. Since this is not like a webinar or anything where I'm gonna be sharing my screen, I just thought it would be nice to have an actual physical prop to use. And to start with, we've done before an Instagram Live about branding, but let's do a short introduction about branding anyways. Branding is really how you portray yourself, your company, or the product and or service that you offer to the world. The way that you do it includes your logo. That's what everybody, like the first thing everybody thinks of. But really, logo is not the only thing, and it's not even the biggest thing. Like, it is important, but there's a lot of elements and they all are important. They all balance each other. Your voice, the way you come across, even your social media feed, the kind of things you post, colors, fonts, all those things are part of your branding. And then there's like a deeper level to it, like your mission, your values, your vision. That's all part of your branding as well. So I want to start with something that that is something as a designer I use a lot. In its keywords, because your keywords are what's gonna help you determine how to go there. So when you're working on your vision, like you're trying to like visualize what you want for your business, you're thinking of your mission, which is how you're going to achieve that, like that vision, what you're working on now to make that come true. Your values, the things that are important for you in your business. When you think of all of those, there's always words that stand out, some more than others. And those are your keywords, and those are very important because as a designer, I'm going to be asking you for the keywords so that I know what to look for. I know what it is that you want to achieve through those little keywords. So for example, this one, the keywords are not on the branding board. Keywords is something we determined before we even started any of the design process. But the keywords, were modern, self-care, feminine, but adventurous. And so those are the kind of things that then I look into, like try to incorporate them, try to make people feel those keywords through the design. That's why keywords are very important. Like I also talked about, there's the vision and the mission. The vision is what you picture the future of your business or yourself in your business, what it is that you want to accomplish on a long term. And then the mission is really like what you're doing now to accomplish it. And a lot of people come sometimes looking for branding, but they don't have those things ready yet. And so it's important that we know first what it is that we want, what the end goal is of the brand that we want to create. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to determine how we're gonna present it, because we don't even know what it is that we want to present. Like I mentioned, values, and we talked about values a couple of weeks ago as well when we were talking about branding yourself, because it is very important that you find values that are relevant to your business or your blog, but that also represent yourself as the person who runs it, because otherwise, if they mismatch, it's not gonna connect and it's not gonna come out real. So values are important, but make sure that in your business, your values are something that you as a person want to pursue as well. Once those 4 things have been established, then you're ready to dive in to trying to expand into finding how to visualize it better. And so that's where brand design comes in. I'm going to talk about it. That's when the logo comes in, and most people usually, I've heard a lot of times people being like, oh yeah, I want a logo. And when you're starting out, it's fine to just start with just start out with a logo, but there really is much more that can support that logo. So logo is usually just like one image. A lot of people want that one image to represent everything about their business, and really that's not the end goal, because if you can represent everything about your business in one simple image, then there's really not much story, there's not much depth into your business, to your blog. So instead, you want your logo to give people like a little preview of what your business is, but not show all of it, because it's either going to be impossible or the backstory behind it has missing pieces. But that's the logo. Then there's alternatives and submarks. There are alternatives, submarks, and icons. And so a lot of people use the terms indifferently. There is a few differences, but let's talk about it. This brand board has, let's see, it's kind of hard to see because they're light. These ones that are here are meant to be, oh, you can't even see them on Instagram, almost there. Yeah, that wasn't a good idea. But those, as you can see, they were different. So the alternative logo is also a logo, but the main use that I personally give to it is that it's the kind of logo that fits where your normal logo doesn't fit. So for example, in this case, Wendy, sweetie, can you move? Down. Yeah, good girl. So we have this logo here, and it's a very long logo It's very good for websites to have it on top. Doesn't take a lot of space, looks pretty well. But what if you're going to be featured? You know, have you seen like those little rows where it's like featured in and there's like a lot of logos? If you use this logo, it's either gonna be like very small and people won't be able to read it right, or it's gonna be big, but it's gonna take a lot of white space. So in that case, you wanna use something more like a square or a round logo. And like you can see Instagram, can you see it? That's a square logo. It's very light in this paper. People on Facebook can see it better. But a square logo, oh, I didn't even think of that. Thank you, Johanna, for letting me know. And Facebook is showing it the right way, but in Instagram it does show it like the other way because it's reflecting. I didn't even think of that. Like, thanks for letting me know. But oh well. But yeah, when you have that square, a square or circle logo, you can use that better to accommodate it. Same thing with if it's gonna be on a footer and it needs to be really small, you have to create something that is gonna fit well but still be readable. So alternative logos are for that. They're pretty much the same elements from the logo but arranged differently so that they fit spaces better. And then we have the submark that submark and icon really are kind of similar. The submark is just like a more simple version of the logo. For example, it could just be the initials. Like here in this one, Facebook people, you can see it here. It's just very simple with the initials in the square. Instagram people, now you can see it too if light is good enough for there. It's much more compact and it can be read way easier. Oh man, you know, maybe changing locations for the Instagram live wasn't such a great idea, but I hope you can bear with my doggy today. I read somewhere that it's like National like Pet or Cuddle Your Dog or something like that day. So I guess my dog's taking that very literally. She wants to be cuddled and pet all day. And lastly, the icon is very similar to the submark in where it's also just like some people can actually use the submark and the icon as the same one. In this example that I showed you, it is the same because it's a very simple element. Just think about the fact that your icon is going to be used in very, very small places. For example, when you open your website, have you seen how in the tab there's always like a little image next to it? That's one of the places where your icon will go. Or if you have an app, that's going to be the icon for the app where people will click on. So it needs to be something that can be readable at very small sizes, but that still looks a lot like your logo, like people can connect right away what it is. So you can use your submark as your icon, or you may want to use even a more simple icon. For example, for my brand, for Sarah Obando Web Studio, the icon is actually just a little star that's on my logo. And so that's what you see on my website when you go. That's what's on the little tab. Next, we're going to talk about swatches or colors. And those are the colors that you're pretty much going to be using now for your brand for the rest of your life or until you rebrand. But so Facebook people, here you can see those swatches. Instagram, oh, actually, both screens can see it this time. So these are the 6 different swatches for this project. And when choosing colors, it's important to think not about what you love, but what your followers and your ideal clients or readers, depending on what your service or product is, what is it that they love? Take that in count and then choose your colors. A lot of people talk about color psychology. Color psychology is important. It's also important to think about the cultural awareness about the color. If you're like trying to target people from another part of the world, then research first what those colors could mean in that culture, because cultural differences are sometimes very big regarding colors. Oh, is this right? Go get it. So it's important to take those things in count. Although right now with globalization, like I feel like cultural differences become less and less, but it's still a good thing to do. It's always good to do research when you are creating a brand. There's like nothing bad will come out of making research for your brand. With the color psychology, it can help, but taking count, like color psychology also like gives you like a lot of different meanings. So instead of just relying on pure color psychology, go more with like client market research. Go for colors that are relevant to the kind of people you want to attract with your brand. Next, we're going to be talking about fonts. So let's see. Facebook and Instagram people, both of you have that in mind right now. These are the fonts for this brand. I don't know if you can see it well, but one of them is just a font that's easy to read, but it's also a bit stylized. The second one is not as readable, but it's Instagram zoom and now Facebook zoom. There. It's not as readable, but it's more fun and gives more feeling to it. And the third one is a very readable and regular font. And so as a designer, I try to find always, usually 3 fonts is a good way to do it. Sometimes even 2 would be fine. I like using one that is nice and readable, like that it's like stylized and readable, to highlight text that's important, but at the same time make it readable. Then there's good to have one that might not be as readable, but maybe that's not as necessary because it's only going to be one word, and so that makes it stand out more. And then it's good to have just like a default easy font that is readable in any kind of device, that works if it's printed or on web, and that's what you're going to be using for all the bulks of content. So for example, on a website design, let's see, like the logo is going to have one nice, fancy, cool looking font along with a small, easier to read, but still pretty font that has like a subtitle, or in this case, just like the name in different, like there's 2 different fonts for the different names. Then the headers on the website, in this case, would be using a font more like this. Not this one, because that would make it hard to read. But a font more like this one. And then for the content of the website, we would use the very simple one, which in this case is Lato Regular. I always try to go for fonts that are easily available. Google fonts are really good. If it's a Google font, then pretty much every device will be able to use it and read it. And the accent font, that can still be used. Just use it sparingly. If you're doing graphics for social media and you want to highlight a word, that's where you can use that font. Let me check something. Okay, never mind. It's all good. Let's see. And next, I'm going to be talking about textures and patterns. I did something. And now, oh, there. So you can't even see it, but oh no. But I'm like struggling right now with Instagram options that are showing without me wanting them to show. Okay, there. Good. Okay, so for the people who have tuned in recently, I am streaming both on Facebook and on Instagram. So this is a bit crazy. I have like, here's my Instagram phone, here is my laptop, and then here on the side, I have like my Asana open with all the notes for this live. And then I have my dog running around because I thought using a different setting would be interesting. So this is a very exciting live so far. Thanks for everyone who's watching, despite the craziness that's going on. But yeah, let's continue with the next one, textures and patterns. I usually put the textures here towards the bottom. Facebook zoom there, you can see these 3 different textures. And here is the 3 different textures. Instagram, can you see them? Oh, wow, there. The light's like reflecting off so strange of this paper for the Instagram camera. Okay, so a lot of people ask like, why textures, why patterns? And I'm just tell them, like, look around. When you go on your social media feed, you see all these people sharing quotes and sharing images with nice backgrounds, and a lot of them have textures. And if you have textures that are unique to your brand, then that's gonna brand all that content that you put out there. Same thing with your website. Having like this different sections on your website, that's a very common trend right now, and it's very useful, it's very nice, it works well on mobile devices. So it's a trend that I think everybody like should follow. It's a good trend, and a good way to divide those sections is by using textures as backgrounds as well. So that's another one. I also use it on business cards, and pretty much any other kind of graphic that has white space. You can use just like a solid block color, that's good too. But if you want to spice things up a bit, you can use textures. And for example, for this project, I'm going to explain to you a bit the process of each one. This one over here, that's super light and hard to see on Instagram. There. That's like, it's digital, but it's made to look like watercolor. That's like light reflecting, that helps. And so it's meant to be like a soft texture that can be used easily behind text without disabling the readability of the text. The second one, I call it like my wrapping paper texture. See, like there's for Facebook, here for Instagram, because it's just got like this cute fun pattern, and it has the names daily, journey. Well, daily and the heart and the journey, so it's kind of like the name. And it's just like, it's so beautiful on wrapping paper or any kind of texture that's just gonna fill a big space. I kind of made that especially for that, for like packaging and things like that. And then there's this one that's just like a fun, busy texture. For this brand, we use this one on social media images as an overlay in some of the parts. It looks really cute. It brands the images really well. And it makes it different. It makes it fun. It makes them pop out. The website for this project is still in process, but we are using the textures as well as backgrounds for some of the sections. And as you see, all these textures, these two were, well, this one was custom made. I made this one custom for this project. There's nothing else like it. Can you see that Instagram? And here, can you see that Facebook? Facebook can see it better without me covering. That one was completely custom made for it. This other second one I actually did with two different resources. I had a texture that I've purchased. I think, pretty sure I purchased both of these textures from Design Cuts. So one of them had all these hearts, and the other one had glitter. Like, it was just like glitter textures. It's beautiful. And so I overlaid the texture so that the glitter would be on the color. I changed the color to match the colors from this brand. And that's how we created this one. And the third one is actually a texture that I also bought probably on Design Cuts. And then I just customized it to use the colors from the brand. I like making textures a lot. I custom made textures for a lot of different projects, like make them from scratch. But I also use a lot of textures because I just said I love textures a lot, to the point where I also buy a lot of textures that are not by me but are just completely gorgeous and I want them. So I have to justify purchasing them. That's why I use them for my projects as well, because otherwise I can justify purchasing so many textures. I purchased them, but then I customized them to fit brands. So that helps. And now I want to talk about other elements in general, because really there's no definition that says a brand is this, a brand is that. You can really, like, even like you yourself as a person can be part of a brand. But for example, I think business cards are very important. I think they should be like considered a lot when part of your brand, or like, I guess it's like business cards for print, or your social media headers and stuff like that for digital, because they're pretty much the same they do the same function. It's the first thing that someone sees about you when they either visit your page or meet you in person. You give them your business card, you show them your Facebook header. And if I actually should have prepared that right now, I don't have it here, but if you go to my Facebook profile, my Facebook header is very similar to my business card. So because they have the same function, so that's something that I think is important to consider. Another thing, and something that I offer in my branding packages, is templates for social media, so that along with the textures that I create, like create a nice template either for like quotes or to use as a frame for photos. But especially because nowadays pretty much everyone is using stock photography, because there's really nice high quality stock photography out there on the internet, but a lot of us end up using the same one that everybody else is using. I'm guilty of it as well. Like I go on my feed and I'm like, oh, I've used that one and I've used that one. And so it's hard to distinguish, like to make your brand unique when you're using the same stock photography. But not everyone is at a point where we can just have our own stock photography, you know, especially if you like, you're supposed to be posting on social media pretty much every day. How are you gonna get so many images to post, you know? So you can use stock photography, but brand them, make them yours. Use a template or put your unique fonts on top, make something that really makes that image stand out, so that people just don't recognize the image from something that they've used themselves, but rather pay more attention to the things that are saying, oh, look, that is part of that brand. And one thing that I've been trying to I kind of want to teach the whole world about it, but we'll see. And I'm pretty sure there's people that agree with me, is that a website should be part of your brand. Your website is the reflection of you, and that's the same thing that branding does. So your website really should be part of your brand. I've had people who they have the logo and they want a brand and they want a website, sorry, and they don't have a brand, and it makes it really hard for me, because I'm like, how am I supposed to make your website if you don't have any colors? Like, I can just use the colors of the logo, but sometimes the logos just have one color, so I have to get very creative with that. And I mean, that's okay. As I said, starting just with a logo is really how all of us start out. But when you are at a point where you can expand and create a brand, really do it and make the website part of your brand. Because just like a business card, just like the textures that you use, your website should be part of your brand as well, should be considered and giving that same kind of priority. And that takes me to the next one that I want to talk about. It's also your copy, the text, the content of either your website, your feed, the way you talk to others. There's some of you probably know this, there's such a thing called copywriters. They write text for you and they write it in your voice. And so there's a reason they're very relevant, and it's because not everyone can just comment okay, you want to say that and that, and they can type it out. And it may look pretty and it might work for your website, but when people read it, they're not gonna feel that connection with you because it doesn't sound like you. So whether the you is a person or it's a business, it's always supposed to carry the same tone, the same voice. So that's something to pay attention to, because it's not something that's really visual. It's more something that when we read it, we make that connection in our brain. But really, that's what branding has been all about throughout this whole explanation. Branding is not just the visuals. Branding is how everything comes together and the kind of impression that it gives to those reading or seeing, talking to you. That impression that they get, that's the brand. And yeah, I think I've covered everything that I was planning on covering. It's actually, I was going to say this has been longer, but I just realized we did start a bit late. So we're probably about on time right now. For those joining now towards the end, this has been a crazy Instagram live, which I have to stop calling Instagram live, because I'm actually live both on Instagram and on Facebook. That's why I keep looking up and down and was trying to show the images both to Facebook and to Instagram. Um, it's been a fun experiment, and on top of that, I've got like my dog here stalking around a bit, but she's cute, so I hope no one minds. Oh yeah, she thinks that she's still a little baby. But yeah, since I'm recording on Facebook, this live will be available hopefully for the rest of our lives on Facebook. So I'm really glad, because all the past lives that we've had, they have not been recorded. I tried saving them, but I've had issues with that. That's why I decided to stream on Facebook as well. So if you want to reference back, if you just joined now and want to see the beginning, you can go to our Facebook, to my Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Sarah Obando Web, and you'll be able to watch the whole live there, including some of the setup, because I actually started streaming on Facebook before I started on Instagram. What else? Oh yeah, you wanna go now? No, you wanna stay? Oh, she wants to give kisses. That's what she wants. This is for everyone who thinks pit bulls are scary. She's a pit bull. She just likes giving kisses. But sweetie, I need some space, okay? Thank you. Oh dear. I'm looking at myself here on the Facebook Live, and then I did like the wrong side because it like reflected different. A few announcements that I wanted to do. Some of you know, a couple months ago, I started doing this site assessment sessions where we'd have like a 1 hour session talking about goals that you want to reach with your website, functionalities that you want to be able to add, and just in general have like an in-depth conversation of the way you want to take your business or blog into. And then I dive deep into your website and I go through every single part of it, and I create like this whole plan where I tell you first like any things that you might want to fix regarding functionality or responsibility of your responsibility, like I think being responsive, not responsible. I mean, responsible is good too, but responsive design, that's what I do. And so I give you the list of like all those things that you can do to improve your website, and then also give you like a step-by-step plan so that you know what changes you need to do in order to achieve those goals that we talked about in our session. Those are I'll call site assessment. I had them available on my website for a while, but now I'm just doing them every once in a while because I don't always have time for them. They're a bit time consuming because we actually jump on a call for an hour, and then I dive into your website, and that takes me at least 1 hour, and then writing the report. So it's not easy to schedule a lot of those. And so right now they're very limited, but whenever I open up spots, I'm opening them up on my newsletter. So if you want more information about it, if you want to be notified when I open those again, just join my newsletter. If you're on Instagram, go to my profile, and you can click on the link on the bio, and there's actually a link on my bio page that takes you to join Web Designer Insider. That's the name of my newsletter. If you're on Facebook, I will write it in the comments so that you can go there, but really you can just go on a browser and go to sarahobando.com/WDI. So WDI, Web Designer Insider, and you can join my newsletter that way. My newsletter is about how to work on a business as a creative entrepreneur. And so it has tips on, like right now we're talking about our newsletter that went out last week was about using your time wisely. And so it talks about different apps that I use to organize my time, apps that I use to track my time, apps that I use to block time on different pages so that I don't waste my time there. And every 2 weeks, I write an email like that with just like tips and advice that can help you run your business or your blog better. So sarahobando.com, WDI. And you can join. It's every 2 weeks, and they're very long. You've been warned. They're very long newsletters. They're not just your normal like, hi, how are you newsletter. Like, it's got like a very long newsletter. Sometimes I even like write challenges, and then the issue following up, I actually like keep accountability and like tell you guys how I've implemented the things that we talked about, and you're always free to reply and keep accountability yourself too. So if you want to join, you've been warned. It's not just a cute little newsletter. They're actually as long, if not even longer, than my blog post, because I put a lot of love into it. I really sincerely like want to help people with it. So now, you know, and there's where I publish. If I have any spots available for site assessments, you can find them too. But I brought this up because those site assessments have worked pretty interestingly. Like they work pretty well. Like they really give a lot of insight. So I'm actually opening up a similar session, and it's called branding assessment. Yeah, it's called a branding assessment. And so instead of just like it being about your website and its functionality, it actually includes more. It includes it includes your brand overall. It includes your logo. It includes your opt-ins. It includes your social media feed. Like I go and evaluate everything that you have out there on your online presence, even offline presence, if you provide me with photos and with ideas of how you're using those printed media. I evaluate all of it. And then same thing as with the site assessment. We have a strategy session where you can determine the kind of goals that you want to achieve with your business. We go over them, we make a list, and then I go and dive deep into your brand and into your website, social media feed, anything in your online presence. I go and write up all the things that you could improve to make things better, including functionalities on your website. I suggest software that can help you improve different things. It can be free software or paid software. Like I'm gonna give all kinds of recommendations, but like for all tiers and all budgets. If you're like, I don't have a budget to invest in a lot of software, then I can give you a version of it that is free software and can help you anyways. So I'll include all those things, and then I'll also like write up this plan that you would have to follow to be able to achieve those goals that we established together. So that's a service that I'm gonna start offering right now. It's not on my website. I'm probably gonna start opening spots up next week through my newsletter. Like the site assessments, this take even more time than the site assessments. So I'm probably just gonna be offering like limited spots at a time. And again, if you want to know more about them, sign up for my newsletter. You can go to sarahobando.com/WDI, and you'll find more information about it. And that's it, I think. We've been live for quite a bit. Sorry, I feel like I spoke a lot this time, but we also did start a little bit late with me setting up all these different technical things, and with my doggy coming here and wanting to distract us with its kisses and its love. But I hope you enjoyed it. For the people who are watching the Instagram version of it, this live is available on Facebook as well. So you can go to my Facebook, facebook.com/SarahObandoWeb, and you can watch the live later. If you can watch it in the next 24 hours, you can go and watch it anytime on my Facebook. We went over all different kind of brand elements, even including like vision, mission, keywords, all the graphic element ones. We used this little board for it. And we finished even with like things like website and your copy, the voice that you use, all those things were included. So I hope this was informational for you. I'm quickly gonna go check. There are no questions on Instagram, and I'm not sure how to. I think there are no questions on Facebook. Oh, I clicked something and I started playing music there. Oh man, this has been a crazy setup. Thank you so much for following despite this being like the craziest live we've had. I need to come up with a different name. It can't be Instagram Live anymore because it's gonna be on Instagram, on Facebook. So if you have any suggestions, send them in. If not, I'm just gonna come up with something. We'll see how that works. But thanks so much for joining, and goodbye. So I'll first say bye Instagram people. Oh, thank you so much. I hope, yeah, it's gonna be available for the next 24 hours here on Instagram and then forever on Facebook. So I hope it can be a good resource. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna end Instagram. Bye. People on Facebook are probably like, what happened? But the thing is, like, I just got a comment on Instagram. So bye Facebook people too. Thanks so much for watching.